Hey guys, so today I thought I'd do something a little bit different rather than sitting in a room and talking to someone. I thought I'd do a drive interview. So I've got with me here today Alex from BlackBoxMyCar, and he wanted to go for a little ride, and I thought let's fill in the blanks during the drive and have a little chat. So Alex, BlackBoxMyCar, that's dash cameras, right?
That's right.
Not everyone out in YouTube land might know what a dash camera is. Maybe, why don't we talk about that first? What is a dash camera?
Well, dash camera is a video recorder that gets mounted on your either front windshield or the rear windshield, and it's basically recording when you're driving on the road or even when your vehicle is parked. So in case of an accident or any instance where you need a video proof, you can use that device to prove your case, whether it was your fault or the other guy's fault.
Why would somebody need a dash camera? Why would I need a dash camera? That's what someone in YouTube land is asking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are multiple different purposes of using a dash camera, and there are different needs per people and with different individuals. Some people say, okay, I need a dash camera because someone's constantly keying my vehicle, constantly vandalizing my vehicle, and you want to catch this individual because some dash cams are capable of recording even when the vehicle is parked by motion detection and everything. Whereas some other people will say, hey, you know what, I'm constantly getting picked on by police, or I just want to protect myself even from law officers, unfortunately. Yeah. And in other cases, you want to have a video evidence because in the case of an accident, if you don't have a witness, it can go really, either one way or the other. So having a video evidence really helps.
Yeah, and it's actually good that you mentioned the issue of accidents. I'm pretty sure most people out in YouTube land don't know what I do for a living. You obviously do, Alex, but I'm a lawyer and I represent people who have been hurt in car accidents. So the evidence that comes from video evidence is actually something that, to me, is a huge tool. Now, this started off first, for me at least in my career, when I started looking at cases involving bus drivers and people who were hurt on buses, and police officers who caused accidents. But let's step back for a bit and think about, if you're involved in a car accident, it's not just the fact that you're hurt in the car accident. First, you have to prove that the other driver was the one who's responsible for the car accident, and that's where sometimes there's going to be a bit of a fight, and you think sometimes it's a no-brainer because you think you're in the right, but the other driver might not see it the same way. So if you run into a situation, for example, at an intersection where there's an argument as to what color the light was, and if you say it was green for you and the other driver says it was red for you, well, if this matter has to go to trial, it puts things in a difficult situation because, one, the lawyers and the judge have to figure out, well, who do you believe here? And sometimes it's not that cut and dry, and sometimes what ends up happening is they split the decision 50-50 as to who's at fault. Now, one of the good tools, I guess, with a dash camera is the evidence is just right there. It's got a video of what color that light is. Some people will say, well, I could always get a witness. My experience is eyewitness evidence is not always the most reliable. Sometimes these witnesses aren't exactly sure of what they saw. Yep. A couple years down the road, they might not actually remember what they saw.
That's right. I have a very funny, I also hear a lot about people who've been involved in an accident and then it ended up really bad, and when it wasn't their fault, right? And one case I heard was in North Vancouver, actually. My customer and a neighbor got into an accident, and another neighbor, an older lady, says, you know what, don't worry guys, don't worry to my customer, and said, I saw everything and it wasn't your fault, he hit you and stuff like that. And then after a while, when they reported it to the ICBC,
And that's actually like a big thing too. And let me give you another example that you know, I've encountered. Okay, because some people might think I don't need a dash camera. Maybe I'll get a witness, or you know, I'm an honest person. The judge is going to believe me. But here's the problem, though. We've had cases at my firm that some of the lawyers have represented, where our client was involved in a pretty significant accident, and what ended up happening was they blacked out as a result of the accident, suffered a brain injury, and they have no memory of any of the details of the accident. They just know that they woke up, the next memory they have is they're in the hospital. Well, the problem here is, if the other driver has the only story of what happened, and they said that you were the one who caused the accident, and there's no independent witnesses, there's no way for me as a lawyer to help you in this case and say that, you know, the other person was wrong, because you have no memory of that accident. So having the video evidence can help you in a lot, like in your case. Now, for me, you know, as a lawyer, it seems to be a no-brainer. It's just one more tool that we can use to help you in your case. And if a client comes in with video evidence, it makes that so much easier. It saves you time and money at the end of the day. Time, because your case will go a lot quicker. There's one less thing to fight over, and it saves you money because you may not have to split your award, or it may not be as like 100% against you.
Exactly. I mean, ICBC adjusters love it, you know, because it saves them so much time and hassle, right? From listening to both parties and trying to determine who's right or wrong. And you know, like I'm seeing more and more cases where ICBC puts people at 50-50 when there's no clear evidence as to who's telling the truth or not. It may seem like there's no scientific, or there's no way that this accident could have happened, that it could have been left for 50-50, but because there's no witness, there are no witnesses or no video evidence, it ends up being 50-50.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense. The customer that you had sent me, right? She was in an intersection waiting for a light, and I guess she gets T-boned, and yet ICBC wouldn't recognize it as it was. It wasn't her fault. I don't get it. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
So I think we're both in agreement as to why you need a dash camera in your car. It's you know, not a bad idea to get in our view, I think. Let's talk about some other things here then. So Alex, we've talked about why we need a dash camera. What makes a good dash camera in terms of features and qualities?
I would say the lens, what the dash cam, what sort of imaging sensor that the dash cam has, it really matters. Because if you look at like cheaper Chinese devices, they advertise as if they have night vision and infrared sensors and all that stuff to make the video much better at nighttime. But you know, it doesn't really work that way. You know, it all matters on what kind of imaging sensor that you have. Right now, the Sony XR sensor is the most popular, or most reliable, trusted CMOS sensor that you can find in the market. And you know, you find a device that can really last in terms of in the hot summer times, the heat, and then the cold weather, because you know, any electronics bound to go bad if it stays in a really, really hot condition, right? But higher quality dash cams are tested in a very, very hot environment so that it can last much, much longer. So I would say watch out for imaging sensor, especially I would say Sony XR sensor. Most of the higher end, and then the most, I mean, not even a higher end, but even affordable dash cams now have Sony XR sensor. Look for that, and look for how well it does in the heat, hot or cold environment, and look for a device that can do even GPS. Some of them are built in with GPS, either or with an external GPS kit. And also look for a feature called parking mode by motion detection, because that can really help you even when your vehicle is parked. It can act as a CCTV. Not only you can use it on the road, but even when your vehicle is parked, you can capture any individuals that are trying to vandalize your car or hit and runs your car, basically. And
yeah, and I'm glad you actually mentioned that the first feature that people should be looking for is the quality of the sensor, because again, you know, I look at these dash cams from the perspective of a lawyer, and for me, when I look at dash cams as a lawyer, what I'm looking for is quality of evidence, and the quality of the sensor, in my view, makes a huge deal for me, because if I can't see anything in the video and the quality of the evidence is no good, it's not as helpful. If it's ambiguous or if it's not clear in terms of the image quality, it's not good quality evidence for me. So a couple of things to also, I think, factor in and consider when looking and thinking about the quality of the sensor is what kind of area do you live in. Now, we're in Vancouver, so we get a lot of rain and a lot of cloud here.
That's true.
Which means it's dark, and I think cheaper sensors probably won't pick up light as well, and the image quality from the video won't be as good. Especially, you know, think about nighttime quality. So a good quality sensor is something that improves the quality of the evidence that we, myself as a lawyer, you know, can use. Now, and then you also mentioned, you know, the parking mode, which I always find interesting. Now, maybe explain what the parking mode feature is, so those who don't understand it have a better idea.
The parking mode by motion detection is very, very unique, because when your vehicle's parked, even if you're unattended in the vehicle, as long as it's hardwired, and if it has the parking mode by motion detection feature, if anybody walks around the vehicle, or if anybody hits your vehicle, starting by motion detection, it starts recording. And you know, I had a hit and run accident just a couple months ago, and because of that video, I literally had to pay. I didn't have to pay anything to get my car fixed, whereas the other guy was put on fault by DPD and ICBC, had to pay everything. And so it gets you protected from hit and run and also any vandalism.
Yeah, and I think the vandalism's a big deal, because my brother actually, I put a dash camera in his car, and his car recently was getting keyed, and and so, you know, he was asking about getting extra cameras, just because it seems like there's someone at work who's walking around keying people's cars.
Oh, I see.
So things to think about. I remembered on your website a while back, you had a video of a client, I believe, who in his parking garage, his car was getting keyed, and he put extra cameras in his car, and that was a feature that he was able to use in terms of the parking mode to catch the culprit there.
That's right.
Now, I think another feature that I think distinguishes the dash cameras that you have, or that are out in the market, to just regular action cameras such as the GoPro or the Contour cameras, is that the dash cameras, they record in a way where it's out of mind and out of sight, right?
That's right, that's right.
So what I like about the dash camera I picked up from you a while back was that, you know, I've got it plugged in, it records in 3-minute intervals.
That's right.
And what happens is once the memory card fills up, it deletes the oldest file. So you never have to go in and delete the card or manually touch it. You never have to turn it on. As soon as I turn the car on, the camera's on, it starts recording my trip, and then when the card starts to fill up, it starts to delete the oldest file. So this was actually something that came up quite recently, because the office manager at my firm, who I think you met because you helped install her camera, you know, I picked up a camera for her about a year ago, I think.
That's right, yeah.
And what ended up happening was 2 days ago, she was involved in a car accident.
Oh.
And this person was trying to cut across a 6-lane street. In Vancouver, it's called Kingsway, for those of you who aren't familiar with it. But they were coming out from the left, and you know, didn't stop. She has, it's not at a light or anything. She has the right of way. She's just going straight, and you know, they hit her at the driver's side door, and then they accused her of, one, you know, speeding, going extreme high rate of speed, and all of this, you know, just to say that she was the one that was at fault. But thankfully and luckily for her, you know, she had this camera in there,
and it recorded everything.
And you know, it records in these 3-minute intervals. So I just had to, you know, go into the camera, pull out the footage, and we were able to, you know, get some pretty good evidence that I think will help her case along pretty good.
Oh, you bet.
So we've talked about what's a dash camera. We've talked about why we should have a dash camera and what some of the features we should be looking out for in a dash camera, Alex. another feature, I guess, is, and I think you mentioned it earlier, was you know, front and rear. So there's differences between 1 and 2 channel. Maybe we can talk about that and you know, how that works.
Sure. So 1 channel camera means you have one camera that's facing either usually forward, and 2 channel means you have 2 dash cams, one in the front and one in the back. And in Korea, some people can get very extensive and have up to 6 channels.
Wow, 6 channels.
Yeah, I know. Front, rear, you know, sides, even the interior shot, and also to the pedals. But anyways, right now, in at least in North America, 1 channel and 2 channel dash cam is getting really popular, and that's the reason why is the dash cam used to cost about, I mean, 1 channel dash cam could cost about $300 to $350, whereas if you buy a 2 channel dash cam nowadays, it's only about $400. So you get good value for exactly that. For an extra $50 to $100, you're actually getting 2 cameras in 1 package, and at the same time you can record simultaneously, and just by a click of a button you can see front video and then to the back.
So are they when you play the video, they show sort of mirrored next to each other, or how does that?
Yeah. You can also play that way, or you can just watch the front view only, and then you can move on to the second or whatnot. And that.
Now, I think a lot of people out there are going to be thinking to themselves, well, I only need a front camera. And, you know, from the legal perspective, that's true. The front camera is probably the most important because that shows what it is the driver's point of view is going to be, and it also shows what the, you know, lights are and everything ahead of you. But I actually had a case that went to trial just a few months ago, quite recently. And it's one of these odd ones where you think it's a no-brainer, but I had a client who was stopped at a stop sign, and it was on a bit of a hill, and he was struck from the rear. He was rear-ended by another car. And the problem here was the other driver said, well, this guy in a Chrysler minivan with an automatic transmission stalled and rolled his car back into me. Which sounds a little bit ridiculous, but that was the fight. And the insurance company pushed it to a fight on those facts with respect to how the accident happened. This is one situation, I think, where if you had a camera, front and back, you would have been able to show that your car wasn't rolling back and it was the other driver that hit you. And I think actually a while back, Alex, you also had a video here where somebody was just stopped, and then, you know, they had a front camera and they actually showed a video of a driver reversing, right? But I mean, these fights as to, you know, how the accident happened, like, they're not all cut and dry sometimes, because what you have is you have people reversing in some instances, and you have people accusing you of reversing in some instances.
That's a great point. You know what? And I actually do have another an example, also from Vancouver. I'm seeing more and more cases, especially from Vancouver. How this in an area where there are no witnesses whatsoever, the guy in the back hit my customer in the front, very lightly, very slightly, but it doesn't feel nice, you know, to get hit, even if it was a slight, you know, slightly, it wasn't a big impact or whatnot. And when my customer came out and said, hey, you just hit me, and then the other guy said, no, I didn't hit you, what are you talking about? And here's the thing, you know, he knows about the system, because with the ICBC, if there are no witnesses and you just, you know, constantly denying or like constantly saying, I didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, in these cases, they're tough because if there's very little damage to the car,
exactly, you can't.
It's easy for them to just try to say, well, nothing happened here, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why he decided to go front and back.
We've talked a lot about dash cameras, Alex. Let's just talk about what options there are in the market. I mean, what are some of the best dash cameras available right now that people should be keeping an eye out for?
Well, I carry 10 different units nowadays, so, but, you know, out of all, I can really say the Blackview DR500, DR550 are one of the most reliable and at the same time most convenient dash cam that you can get because of the Wi-Fi capability. And, you know, people say, okay, you know, if you do any little bit of a research, yes, DR400 suffered from overheating issue, but since then, their units have been literally rock solid, bulletproof, so reliable to a point that it's the least hassle free dash cam that I'm carrying right now. So I would say look for Black DR500 or the DR550 if you want to go for a 2-channel system.
Well, great. So that was a driving interview with Alex from BlackBoxMyCar.com with us here today. If you want more information about dash cameras and you want to visit Alex's YouTube channel, you can click up over here. I'll have a link for you where you can visit Alex and get more information. If you have questions, if you've been in a car accident or something, you just want to have a chat, leave me a message and we can talk by email and see if I can give you some help with any of those issues there. Thanks again for watching. Please, if you do enjoy my videos, feel free to subscribe. I've got videos where, you know, I mainly do talks about cars, but there's lifestyle issues and sometimes informative videos such as this dash cam talk that I like to put up as well. Thanks for watching, everyone.